Alright, so after 3 Lord of the Rings movies, really good ones, it's time to get into The Hobbit. Now, if you didn't know already, this is a prequel to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, directed by Peter Jackson, based on the novels written by J.R.R. Tolkien, pretty much set in the 1930s, 1940s setting, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, it's a prequel to Lord of the Rings, and it stars Martin Freeman as Bilbo Baggins, and they have a lot of returning characters, which I'm not going to get into. But if you don't know already, Gandalf is back. So Gandalf the Grey, not the White yet, because you haven't seen the other movies. Well, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Watch the movies; they're really good. But onto the Hobbit itself. The story is pretty much saying that these 13 dwarves, they have this treasure that's stolen from them from Schmag, who is this dragon. If you don't know who the dragon is, you're going to be in a little bit for a surprise in the beginning and at the end of the movie. So once again, I'm not going to spoil it. Just go see the movie for yourself. But it's pretty much that premise there, is that these 13 dwarves, find Bilbo Baggins' house in the Shire in Middle Earth, and they just go there. They pretty much wreak havoc, if you will, not in a spite of fact of just like, oh my god, but it is spite. It really is. And he's just, his motivations, Bilbo's motivation is just like, Gandalf, just invites all these dwarves to his house, and he's just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go and travel and go on an adventure with you. I don't want to do anything. Bilbo is just fine sitting in his house, just by himself, and just having a good time, just by not doing anything. Having his books and having all these things. But in the first shot in the movie, they have this pretty much monologue by an older version of Bilbo Baggins that's seen in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, where he tells a little story to a familiar character that you haven't seen already. Then you should know if you've seen the movies. Like I said, not gonna spoil it, but he just gives his little monologue about how he went on this venture, this big adventure with Gandalf and everything. He starts to write it down, and then you get into the story. You get into the story of how they go travel and they go try to find this treasure that was taken from them. And it's a really, really fun movie. It's really, really great, and a lot of people constantly compare this to the Lord of the Rings movies. I mean, I don't remember them slightly as much as I would like to, but I kind of remember them a little bit more since seeing them on TV, movies on TV. But as a kid, I don't remember them that much. I mean, they're not forgettable movies whatsoever, but they're really good. I like the trilogy. It's a really fantastic piece of work by Peter Jackson. But this movie, The Hobbit, it is a prequel, obviously, but it's just a really good movie. I mean, the acting is really good. Martin Freeman is really good by Bilbo Baggins. I wouldn't have preferred any other actor to take that role. I think he does a really good job there. Really funny dialogue. Really good story. And people say that the story drags on a little bit, but for me, I don't really think it drags on. I mean, if you read the books, I mean, I've read all the books, including The Hobbit itself. But if you really invest yourself into the story, then I really don't think you're going to be thrown off by the beginning and just say it drags on and it's not engaging as what you would like it to be. But overall, it's a really good film to look at. They filmed this thing, Peter Jackson filmed it in New Zealand, and just a fantastic landscape to look at overall. It's just really, really well done, really, really well filmed. And thank God I didn't have to see it in 48 frames per second, because a lot of people complain about it, and it's like an LCD TV. It really has a realistic feel to it. It looks fake, and I don't like that. I don't like that with HD TVs in general. I don't like that with movies. So I was glad to get the opportunity to see it in 24 frames per second, which is the technical standpoint, of course, of the film. So no problems with it at all. It was just a really good time at the movies. And if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, if you're a fan of The Hobbit, then go see this. It's really cool. Really good movie. Really investing story. The effects by Weta Digital, these guys do a fantastic job. I've known them for a while for what they work on the Lord of the Rings and King Kong and Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which you should know. Andy Serkis makes an appearance in Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and King Kong is both King Kong and Caesar. So what I'm trying to get to is one of the best parts of this movie is not just the upcoming 2.5 hours of the movie itself, but like I said, the effects are really good. But the main standpoint of this is Gollum. Andy Serkis, he knocks it out of the park again as Gollum. He's a really interesting character. What I like about him is that, when they have that scene where they just have the questions in the dark, that was really cool. I mean, as soon as you see Bilbo go down to where he's at, where he gets knocked down, and you just see where the location. You automatically know, if you've seen the movies and if you read the book, where this leads up to. And Gollum is just an interesting character. He's like a very tragic epic character. He's crazy. He ends up talking to himself and just calling the Precious, which is obviously the ring, of course, and he just starts talking to himself. It's really, really funny. But there's a lot of scenes, like in the other movies, of course, where you care for his character, where he's sad, and where he's really, really pissed off type of guy. He's really just this creature. You know, he's really engaging, and then you feel for his character, and then you laugh at the things he says. He's just a really good character overall. Andy Serkis is such a fantastic actor. I think that he should get recognition for his work, for what he's done with the motion capture technology. I mean, he really does a good job. And when you see him step into this role, you don't even think it's him, but when you see the movie, it's just like phenomenal. I mean, the effects are fantastic. The story is great. Overall, this is a really good movie. I highly recommend it. It's just a really, really good return back to Middle Earth, and I recommend it to anyone who's a Lord of the Rings fan. But if you're not a Lord of the Rings fan, you hate The Hobbit, you hate everything about Lord of the Rings, then do not watch this movie. It's not for you. But if you're a fan like I am, please go see the movie. It's highly recommended. Now, there's one thing I want to point out. Another thing I want to point out is Radagast the Brown. Now, a lot of people complain about him and say he's a useless character. I can understand that, because his backstory wasn't really granted. It wasn't really needed. It was kind of irrelevant at times for a lot of people, what they said. But for me, he fit the story well. I mean, he wasn't there for like the whole movie. He's just a very limited character, and I can understand why he was annoying. But you know, I didn't mind his character. I thought it was pretty funny, a couple of scenes. But you know, whatever. He's there. I don't think he's going to be back in the sequels of Demolition of Smeg and, you know, There and Back Again. So I don't think he's going to make an appearance in any of those. So I mean, that's safe to say that, you know, whatever about his character. But overall, great acting, great story, fantastic cinematography on this thing, and really, really, really good music. I mean, I always love Howard Shore's score for The Hobbit. Really good. He has some new themes, the old recurring themes that are returning back, returning characters as well for the movie, and it's just a great time. I don't think it drags at all. Peter Jackson really has done himself justice here, and really just makes this film its own. I really didn't want to compare this to the other movies, even though I did a couple times, but it's just a really good time to see the original characters return, like Gandalf, and it's just overall a fantastic movie. It's really well done. The story, the characters, everything. I mean, a lot of the dwarves, you don't really pay attention to them because they're background characters, but I don't really want to get into detail with them anyway, since it's going to be the conclusion of the review, obviously. But a lot of the dwarves, they're just there for background purposes only. But the really standout dwarf, another thing I want to point out, is Thorin. I forgot who plays him, but anyway, he's he's badass. He reminds me of Oregon from Lord of the Rings, played by Viggo Mortensen. You know, he's really like the leader. He really doesn't trust Bilbo at all. He's like, oh, he's useless. You're not. You know your use here. You're not anything to us. You don't mean anything. So please just go back to the Shire and just be gone forever. Don't even come back outside. You know what I mean? Just be by yourself and don't bother us whatsoever. Just leave us alone. But you know, you kind of look like a dick. You kind of look like an asshole because he said that. But you know, he really let up and said, hey, I think Bilbo is a pretty useful guy, and we need him to go on this journey if you want to get the treasure back. So now he realizes that, okay, we need him to be on this journey with us to pretty much just guide us through the whole thing, along with, you know, Gandalf is the leader, but you know, Bilbo is the quote-unquote burglar of the situation. So everything goes on from here on out. So it is this movie is the first of a trilogy, which Peter Jackson announced during pre-production, I believe, or whatever, post-production, during filming. So he announced Desolation of Shmag, which is supposed to come out next year, and then There and Back Again in 2014. So I'm really invested into this whole new trilogy. I like the first three movies. I don't have them on Blu-ray, sadly, so I cannot go back and watch them. But I remember watching them as a kid. But overall, this movie particularly is really well done, and I'm really excited to see where Peter Jackson can go with the rest of the trilogy. So that's my review. What did you think of the movie? Did you see it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you see it in 48 frames per second? Did you see it in 24 frames per second? I personally prefer 24 frames per second because I've been experienced with 48 frames per second before on televisions. I know it's not the same thing as a movie, but it just throws me off. I'm not going to go see it in that. Obviously, I don't have the format up here where I'm at, so maybe I'll see it somewhere in a different theater, possibly at the AMC theater in Boston, if wherever other theater they have it at. So overall, a really good movie, really good story, characters, everything. Like I said, Peter Jackson did a really good job. So I thought this was a really good movie. So like I said, give me your thoughts below. What do you think? That's it. So peace. Have a good day.